let's start with the discussion which we have with our yesterday's match. How analysis plays an important role. See, I'm not sure how many of you have seen it from the second innings where Pakistan was batting. I'm not sure how many of you have seen from the first ball. Probably in the second or third over, there was a chance which was dropped by India. It was for the highest scorer of Pakistan. It was Rizwan. So he might have scored around 40 or something, but he was supposed to be got get out on 7. So there was a drop chance. Even then, what India did is they have kept him at the non-striker end at most of the times. The one who was batting against him or batting with him, he was mostly on the strike. So why analysis plays important role is the matches are being played in USA where the pitch is new, where the conditions are new, where I mean none of the individual or none of the batsmen or even the bowlers are aware about the conditions. So Pakistan might have thought that we are playing against our opponent, we can easily win it. Maybe we can take it very deep at the end. We might take it easily. But India had Bumrah, India had Hardik Pandya now. Hardik Pandya came back to form. So every Indian bowler contributed. So that's how the importance of analysis. Now we have to go back and analyze where India went wrong while they dropped. But still, even though they have dropped certain chances, but they managed to pull up the game at the end. Now, that's an important analysis. That's an important discussion which we can have for almost an half an hour. But anyways, where the analysis, where the importance of data comes into picture, there the role of data analyst comes into picture. So once again, very good morning and warm welcome to KSR. So today would be more a kind of discussion related to why data analysis, how visualization plays an important role, and what all can be done with the help of analyzing the data. Now, prior to get started with, let me introduce myself. I'm Ritesh. I have around 6+ years of experience into the same data and data engineering and data analysis field, where I have expertise in Power BI, where I have expertise in Azure related or Microsoft related stack, which includes Data Factory, the Synapse engineering, anything related to Azure cloud services. I've been training people since last 3 years. May not be directly in KSR. In KSR, it's been almost more than a year, more than a year or around 2 years. I've been training. So I have a good exposure to training as well, and I have worked in multiple domains in the. So I primarily work for Microsoft. So I've worked in multiple domains in Microsoft itself, whether it might be their retail domain. So Microsoft also has certain products which they sell online, which they sell in the marketplace. So it's a more a kind of retail domain. I've worked in their cloud and revenue domain where how many people are using the cloud services, what is the revenue being generated, what is the customer penetration. So mostly of my career in around 6 years also, for more than 4 or 5 years, I've been associated with Microsoft and their multiple domains. Now, anyways, today starting with the introduction of data analysis. Now we are directly jumping to the point. What do you mean by introduction to Power BI? Prior to directly jumping to the point or prior to directly jumping to the conclusion, what does introduction to Power BI mean? What exactly Power BI mean? Let's first understand how and what is the importance of visualization is, and then directly jump to the Power BI. So primary agenda for today is importance of visualization, what is analysis, and business intelligence. See, both the terms are dependent, but both the terms are totally different. They have some similarities. What analysis means, what business intelligence means. Then why only Power BI? Why not any other tool? What other tools present in the market are apart from Power BI? What is their characteristics? How Power BI is important? Top reasons to learn Power BI. Yes, we might see few reasons why again we are going back to Power BI. And how Power BI works, probably if time persists, maybe we at the end will see few more features of Power BI, but if time persists. Now, anyways, we are going to get started. Rather than directly jump into the why Power BI, what is Power BI, let's first understand the importance of analyzing, importance of visualization. Now, I'll show you a basic page where all the information is kept. Now, you have to guess what that page is trying to convey. Now, if you see here, I've pasted few highlights or maybe few pics, which I've drag and drop from the current world or current scenario. If you see the first pic, somewhere it is giving you the India versus Pakistan. The second one is giving you some Lok Sabha, the election related information. The third one is giving you the current trending. Uh, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar, but nowadays his name is being used almost in anywhere. You might see social media also, Mr. Pawan Kalyan. Now, all this news, now let me ask a question. One who is very interested to read all this, anyone reading complete news, if we get certain notifications, maybe almost everyone has a smartphone. And I'm damn sure out of 48 or 49 or 50, how many of you have joined? I'm damn sure that nobody will read the printed media as of now today. Okay, people are reading newspapers, but there is a very low ratio of it. But still, if you have smartphones, I'm not sure how many of you are reading all this stuff. Whether you read news, okay, if you go and click on a link, are you able to read the complete matter which is being mentioned there? How many of you read complete news? Now, if I click on this first link, the India versus Pakistan live score, or some analysis is being there they write the complete news. If I click on this ESPN Cricket Info also, 99% of the time tend to only get the score highlights and they'll come back. You click on any link which has been mentioned here. Either it might be Lok Sabha election also. If you click on any specific link, rarely someone will go and read it from top to end. Rarely in the sense I'll keep it to 99% people will don't read it. Maybe 1% of the time there is a chance that person is very interested in reading. He might end up reading complete. Now, if this same current affairs, maybe we are analyzing with certain charts, certain trends, so it would be more a kind of interesting. Now, this is very straightforward. This is current news. If you mention anything in Google, you'll get all these links. Similarly, at the end, there is one more link which I also wanted to share. This is a pictorial representation of multiple reporting tools which are available in the market. Now, anyways, we have seen the three important current affairs which are being or current news which are being in trending. I have taken an example of a tabular representation of reporting tools. Now, with this tabular representation also, if you see this complete page, none of you out of 55, 56, or 57 who might have joined, none of you would be able to read it, or probably none of you would be interested to read anything from this page. Why? Because it's more a kind of messy. Information is all together clubbed in. But if I take the same representation somewhere like this, now if you see here, Lok Sabha election in India 2024, there is an actual trend here. There is some trend going on. Starting from June 23, there was nothing related to Lok Sabha. If you come down, there is a light spike here. In around February or January, there is a light spike. Not even January, it's February. Now, what does this light spike convey? This is where the Lok Sabha elections were announced. Now, if you see, the spike has got gradually increased. Somewhere in the March, April, and around May, you can see that there is a high spike. Now, rather than reading something like this, if you have Lok Sabha news somewhere, some important websites are highlighting what is the current news, what is the current affairs. They mention everything. 99% of the people will fail to read complete matter. Now, that is where the importance of data, that is where the importance of reporting, that is where the importance of visualization comes into picture. If the same representation is shown in terms of certain trend or certain graph, people will be very eager to think on this and analyze the data. And you can see somewhere it has peaked around June. Even though it is May 26, but May 26 is here. After this, there is certain information of June which is present. Now, if you see after June, after yesterday's ceremony, people might end up the interest in Lok Sabha elections. The same government is continuing, and the trend is, you can see the future trend. The dotted line is a future trend which is coming down. Now, this is with respect to Lok Sabha. If I take the same example, India-Pakistan rivalry. Yesterday's rivalry, now up till yesterday, this I've taken before the match. This trend I have taken before the match, and you can see this is a future trend. This would have been a future trend. Now, anyways, it's a past. You can see there is a very high spike here. And somewhere here also, there is a very high spike. Now, if anyone can guess what was in October and why this spike was there. About India,
One day
Pakistan.
World Cup.
Yes.
One day World Cup.
Okay. ODI World Cup. Now, how did you
India.
guess that? We already know that in the month of October or November, there was a World Cup going on. Now, at that time also, India-Pakistan rivalry, India-Pakistan matches were there. So maybe at that specific time, we had one group stage match. Probably we would have had, if Pakistan would have qualified, we would have had certain semi-final or quarter-final matches also probably, but they didn't qualify. See, but there was a very high spike there when a group match was played. There was a very high spike when there was there was analysis that Pakistan could qualify, but they didn't. So at any spikes, you can analyze with this trending, with this graph which is trending, you can easily analyze the information and user. Any individual person might be very interested to see this spike rather than this reading everything from a news. Okay, reading is also important. We have to read data, we have to get data. Even that is important. But if that same data is being represented in multiple graphs or spike, this will always help us. Why? Because graphical representation, visualization is more easier to understand. Now, the same information, if I come down to Pavan Kalyan, somewhere there is a spike here, the election results. Now, the spike is going down, which is a future trend. The dotted line is a future trend. This is going down. But anyway, sometimes or someday it will go down. But you can see the current trend is very high. Even around September, it was high. Now, some might also know the reason. Around September, there was a very high spike, which is related to Pawan Kalyan. Now, the same visualization, the same representation of a graph plays an important role, or maybe people are very eager to see the visualization as compared to any article which is read-only article. If there are pictures, if there are graphs, people are more interested to see that rather than reading it, rather than commenting out something. Now, at the end, I might have taken this example, this graph, which I'm trying to show. It's very more kind of boring. Power BI, what Power BI contains real-time analytics, it also contains data visualization, it also contains embedded analytics, it also contains native mobiles. Now, all this information, can we see this information in some other manner? Why not? Let's see. See, this is just a trend where I'm comparing Power BI with any other tool. If you see, the spike of Power BI is always high, which is blue in color. The spike of Power BI is always high. Okay, there is a trend which is going down. This is a future trend. This might go down or this might increase also. This is the future trend. So with the importance, with the data which they have, they're trying to analyze the data and the spike might come down. That is what they're analyzing. If you compare with any other BI tool, you can see it's way more lower as compared to Power BI. This is where Power BI is. This is where the other tools are. So you compare any specific tool with Power BI, Power BI would be in a leading position. Why? Because it is one of the widely used reporting tool. But directly, coming to the conclusion, this will not give us the importance. First, we have to understand why data, why visualization plays an important role. Now, if that same graph I would have shown you like this, or same table representation, this is being represented in a Power BI. The same information, the same information, the same table I have represented in Power BI. This is easy to understand. This is way more interesting to grasp. Why? Because the colors are coming into picture. Now I'll show it in Power BI also. If you want, I can show it in Power BI as well. Let me discard this. This is what I have represented in a Power BI. If I make it in focus mode, you can see everything in detail. That same representation, this same table can be visualized. The same table can be visualized in Power BI like this. And in Power BI, we get multiple options. You can sort it by name also. You can sort it by data visualization technique as well. If you want to sort it by yes or no conditions, even that is possible. Now, what does this graph is trying to signify? These are multiple reporting tools which are available in market. What is their statistics? Now, every tool is a data visualization tool. They are trying to visualize data with the help of this tool. Yes. Every tool has analytics. So everywhere it is mentioned as S, and you can see for S flag, there is a green flag. If it would have been no, it would have been a red flag. So this red flag, green flag representation can be done with the help of Power BI visualization. The same, this is a table visual only, but I am trying to visualize certainly different. I'm trying to add certain icons. I'm trying to add certain background color to it, which is making more interesting. Now, if you compare the mobile support, the Sigma software doesn't support mobile, whereas any other reporting tool support mobile. So every reporting tool has a mobile support or mobile connectivity mode or mobile reporting mode. Now, if you compare it with free version, which is available, you can see only two tools have free version. All other tools are paid versions. Now, if I would have gone back, if I would have shared this, if you can look at this, this is very difficult or maybe not that interesting. This tabular representation, yes, no, people would be confused. What is yes, what is no? But if I show this representation, this is way much easier to understand or probably interactive as well. You can arrange it by yes or no. Now, if I'm trying to click on free version, I'm trying to arrange all the no free version softwares wherever free version is not available. And I'm trying to analyze or I'm trying to get the softwares which have a free version. Now, if I make it something other ways, Looker and Power BI have a free version available. And if you see at the last, I have written a small comment which is related to price. If you compare the prices also, Power BI is way more cheaper. Now, contact for quote is this. If you want to use Sigma, if you want to use Sisense, if you want to use Looker, you have to connect with the management. You have to connect with the team which is responsible for development. They'll quote you depending on your usage. Now, if you compare the Power BI and AWS QuickSight also, AWS also has their internal cloud-based reporting tool, but that cloud-based reporting tool is not that interactive. If you compare the prices, Power BI is around 10, less than Power BI is only 1. But if you see here, 9 per user per month, there is no free version available. Whereas Power BI has a free version. That is one advantage. And this is slightly different. If you compare the visualizations of AWS QuickSight and Power BI also, Power BI is more powerful. It also has a free version. That means your Power BI desktop is free. You can utilize your Power BI for reporting. You cannot utilize AWS QuickSight for reporting directly. You have to pay it from the day one. So one advantage, even though it is $1 cheaper as compared to Power BI, but Power BI has more advantages, more opportunities, or more advantage conditions, or maybe more features as compared to AWS QuickSight or any other tool which is present in the market. Now, even Tableau I've kept. Tableau, you can see there is no free version available. And this is somewhere the basic version of Power BI, Tableau is 15 per user per month. As compared to Power BI, it is 10 per user per month. This is $10 per user per month. Now, this is just a pictorial representation. This is one of the chart which is present in Power BI. We can do any charts in Power BI. You can do any kind of visualization. So in simpler terms, what am I trying to convey till now? If you want to read anything, it might be pure text. It might be anything related to uh, your blogs or maybe your blogs. If you're trying to see, if you're trying to read some blogs, if you're trying to read some novel books, if you're trying to read anything in the newspaper, your current affairs, it is very difficult for a person who doesn't want to read anything if there is no pictorial representation, if there is no graph. But if you compare it with a visual, more a kind of visual is easy to understand. Now, why visual is easy to understand? What are the importance of visual is a person might understand 95% of the information without being reading anything if there is a visual. If there is a graph, a person might understand 95% of the information as compared to text, only 10% of the information would go in his mind. If there is only text, only 10% of information would go. If there is a visualization, it 95% of the information would be easily understandable. And visuals are processed 60,000 times faster as compared to text. That is where the visualization plays an important role. That is where the importance of pics, importance of visual, importance of any graph plays an important role. 90% of the information transmitted to the brain is a visual. You have to always keep it in mind, whatever you see in your surroundings, if you see something, maybe it will be more viable, it will be more understandable rather than reading anything from a newspaper, rather than reading anything from a certain website. If you see some pics there, it would be easier to understand. If you see some graphs there, it would be easier to understand. That is where the information, 90% of the information transmitted to the brain is a visual representation. So visualization is important factor for any kind of data, any kind of information. Now, what does this data mean? What does that data mean? Data plays an important role for any organization, for any company, wherever there is some revenue being generated, wherever the company is growing, that means data is growing. With the growing company, the data will grow. If the data is growing, revenue will grow. Now, company has to focus where they are lagging. Company has to analyze where they are leaders. They have to make sure they are giving certain best offers, certain best elements to certain set of people because they are earning more from that region. They have to focus on certain region where they're lagging behind. So all this information is related to data. With the increasing data, it is very important for a data analyst to analyze, to visualize, and to give certain pictorial representation to make data-driven decisions. Now, visualization is coming to picture. We have understand what does the visualization means, how visualization is more useful as compared to text. Now let's understand a certain business scenario. Now with this symbol, and I'm sure people might have guessed, this is Twitter or X case study. Now this is just an example. This is just mere explanation where I wanted to highlight in 2022, when Mr. Elon Musk has taken over Twitter, there were certain challenges which that Twitter team has faced. Now, what all challenges that are? There are certain challenges in 2022, which X, now it was previously Twitter, it is called as X, which they have faced, getting back company to profit. So Twitter was not in profit for certain set of years prior to 2022. Even in 2024, they have reduced the profits. I mean, they have reduced the losses, but they are not still a profit-making entity. They are still in a loss phase, but the number of losses have been reduced. The second important challenge was bring back advertisers and revenue. Now, if a company is working, they'll always work to generate a revenue. You take any company, in the world, you take any organization in the world, what that organization's primary aim is to generate revenue. Now, if the company wants to generate revenue, they have to certainly reach out to certain set of people. They have to reach out to their audience. They have to give their best. Only then they can generate a revenue. You take an example of KSR itself. Our primary motto is also to generate revenue. But how do we generate revenue? We have to certainly train certain set of people. We have to train them very perfectly. We have to make sure every individual who is a part of KSR, we are training them. We are proposing them in a market as if they know every Power BI aspect, every Azure aspect. That is our primary aim. If we do our primary aim, then we can generate a good revenue. Now, one of the important challenge which Twitter faced was balancing free speech. Now, Twitter is used by almost everyone. Maybe they might have their account, but they'll rarely tweet anything, but they still use a Twitter on daily basis to see current scenarios, to see current what is going on in the market, what is going on in the world. I mean, any updates, anything can be done on Twitter. Even your current affairs, even your news, almost every individual who is using a Twitter, they might not tweet it, but they might use it for their what is current scenario, what are the current news, if anything gone wrong, if anything gone positive, all that information is coming in Twitter. So for every free speech, there is also a hate speech. So they have to balance. This was one of the biggest challenge which Twitter or X faced in 2022. The one of the important, one more challenge is bot and fake accounts downscaling. Twitter had almost, I guess I'm not sure the exact count, but anywhere, the population of Earth is 8 billion. Now, out of this 8 billion, around 4 to 5 billion people, and anything between 4 to 5 billion people have access to internet. Now, with this internet, how many accounts are there on Twitter? Around 3.5 billion accounts were there on Twitter. Now, out of this 3.5 billion, almost 1 billion accounts are fake accounts or maybe some bot accounts. So this is one of the biggest challenge which X faced in 2022. Now, how I have analyzed this, this is 8 billion is the current world population. This is also data. You can get this data. 4 to 5 billion users are using around 50% of the world, or 50-60% of the current world is using internet. 3.5 billion, this is the information which was published by X or Elon Musk when he has joined in 2022. These many number of accounts were created in X. Now, this include all active, inactive, bot, fake, all the accounts. Now, out of which they have analyzed 1 billion accounts which are not active, which are almost fake accounts, which are not being used for a long period of time. So they have to downscale all these accounts because this is simply waste of storage. So with all this data, how I have analyzed, we have to go back and see whether what Twitter has done, whether what Twitter or whether what X has done, their competitive landscape is also important factor because there are many competitors in the world. For any website, for any application in current market, there is every competitor which is present. You have to always compete with them. Now, how Twitter has made sure their business came back to profit, their losses have been reduced. In 2022, up till 2022, Twitter was never used, or Twitter have never used any reporting tool. They were directly working on the current data which they had. in 2022, by end of 2022, Twitter have used or Twitter have utilized starting of or usage of Power BI. They have started using Power BI. Now, how Power BI have helped them? Let's see. Now, this is one of the Twitter advisory member. He was a Twitter advisor board member. What he has recommended, what he has commented is Power BI is easy to use. My engineers just push the data to data lake. Now, what do you mean by data lake? This is just a storage system. We would also discuss all this in highlights, all this in detail in our sessions. But this is just a storage system where their information is kept. You can hover that. That means you can transfer, you can get that information up to reporting tool, which is nothing but Power BI. We don't need expensive consultants to develop and what they are developing, usable, reliable insights. Twitter was spending prior to X, it was called as Twitter, prior to 2022, they were spending billion rupees for certain set of people who would analyze what the Twitter performance is, where the revenue is coming from, what the growth of Twitter is. But in 2022, when Elon Musk have taken over, when certain set of people have taken over, their one advisory board member, what they have recommended, go with Power BI. And what is the importance of Power BI? He has highlighted all these points. By end of 2022, they have started using Power BI. They have started improving their business. Why? Because Power BI is a reporting tool. So they can analyze where they are going wrong, where their revenue is being generated, how many fake accounts are there, how do you reduce that fake accounts? All this information can be represented in a visual format. Now, the last one is added advantage. It looks cool to customers, even on your phone meetings as well. Not everyone is using laptop. Not everyone is using desktop on day-to-day basis. They might also have their small devices, which is nothing but your phone. Even phone or even Power BI can be visualized in your phone. So this is one of the advantage of using Power BI. Now, anything we have seen how Twitter, how X is using Power BI. Let's see a few visuals. See, this is just a mere analysis which we have done. Twitter analysis, how many, and you can see there are two accounts here, Power BI and Power Automate. Now, Power Automate means we are trying to pull data from Power Automate and we are trying to pull data from certain Power BI aspects where every information is being kept. You can see there are multiple tabs also, mention tabs, retweet tabs, influencer tabs, impact tabs. So this is mere an example of how Power BI report helps to improve our business, which will help us to analyze, which will help us to make data-driven decisions. Now, in this all visuals, one of the interesting visual is the last visual, impact by location and account. What is the exact impact of Twitter? How many bot accounts are present? How many active users are there? How many active users are there? That is where the importance of Twitter came into, the number of bot accounts they had to delete. So their primary focus was on how many number of active users are present from which geographic location. Now, if you see that same chart here, this is what that chart is. I've made sure that chart is kind of zoomed in. And if you see, the darker shade means number of active accounts and light shade means number of inactive or number of fake accounts. Now, if you see, almost America has all active accounts. South America has certain active and certain inactive accounts. Even Europe has 50-50 active and inactive accounts here in Europe. If you see Asia, Russia, okay, all active accounts here. There is no Twitter in China. You can see there is complete gap here. Somewhere these graphs are related to Japan and Korea. Now, how a person is more interested rather than which is data. I mean, if that same data would have shared in a table format, assume this is what the table format has, and every country is mentioned here. For every country, These are all the countries, and if the information is being kept in the tables, Twitter board or even Twitter I mean, the people who are working for Twitter, it would have been very difficult to analyze this data. But that same data is used in terms of map, in terms of visual. It is very easy to guess which country has more active accounts, which country has more inactive accounts. Even you can see in India, there are 50-50 chances that 50% of accounts are active, 50% of accounts are inactive. And you can also analyze what is the Twitter penetration in each country. China has no penetration, zero. Even other countries of Asia are very less. Even you can see Australia is also okay. Africa also very few set of countries have a penetration. Other countries do not have a penetration. Now, penetration means what is the exact usage of Twitter in which country. For Americas, it is very highly concentrated. For South America, also almost every country has a presence. For Africa, very few set of countries. For Europe, almost every country has a presence. For Asia, also you can see only India, Japan, and Korea are very frequently using Twitter. The other countries are not much using. Okay, Russia accepted. Russia also has a penetration, but still it is very low. The circle size is also giving you an idea how many number of users are using on day-to-day basis. And you can see at the end, there is a chart here. There is some logo here, 2024 Microsoft Corporation. This visual is a part of Power BI. This is a map visual which is present in Power BI. So with this visual, the Twitter team had very easy chances to analyze where they are going wrong, where their customer usage, where their customer base is high, what is their penetration, how many number of active, inactive accounts. So all this information can be visualized in a visual with the help of Power BI. That is the importance of Power BI. Now, for this information, even Twitter, one of their developer, Twitter has hired certain set of developer from almost every part of world in 2022. Now, what they have said, you can see one of their 15-year-old experienced person who have joined Twitter engineering or Twitter analysis team. What he's trying to say, Power BI is the latest big player to enter in my world. Tableau is there, Click is there, MicroStrategy is there, but they are all older tools. And you can see, I remember testing every major player, every major BI for major company, and only thing Microsoft had was Power Query back. Previously, Power Query is a part of Power BI, but in Excel also there is a Power Query. I'm not sure how many people have used Excel very wisely. For Excel also, there is a Power Query which is present in the background. Now, for people who are using Excel, Excel is also a bit complex to understand. The UI of Excel is a bit complex. How do you make sure how do you make sure the formulas are written? More a kind of, I'm not saying completely complex, but if you compare it with Power BI, Excel is very difficult to understand as compared to Power BI. Power BI is very straightforward, easy to understand. So this person who had 15 plus years of experience, what he's trying to say, I was using Power Query in Excel, but with the introduction of Power BI, my personal opinion is it's good. It's really good. Why? Because Power BI UI is easy to understand, easy to grasp, and easy to make sure your visualizations, your KPIs, the key performance indicators have been created without any external help. Easy to get into. And see, there are some highlights. The best BI solution I have ever worked. He's comparing Excel with Power BI. He has also compared some other reporting tools. At the end, he's trying to compare Excel. Both the products are Microsoft products. Even among these two products, Power BI is leading. Why? Because Power BI UI is easy. It is free to use. It is easy to understand. And you can see, I have not really worked with any other BI app last years. So there might be something which I've missed, but there are few disadvantages also. For every tool, there are few disadvantages as well. But still, he's trying to highlight, he's trying to give an idea that Power BI is leader with the introduction, with the usage of Power BI in Twitter, in X, nowadays their business have come down to a very strategic scale that their losses have been reduced. They would be certainly in profit for maybe in next few years, maybe 1 or 2 years, they would always come in profit. So for any business, this is with respect to X, this is mere just an example. For any business you take, reporting, any business you take, the business analysis, the data analysis plays an important role. If you analyze the data, then only your revenue would be increased. Your data, your importance of data, where you are lagging, where you are going good, you have to make sure you have to create a report of that and then make data-driven decisions. Now let's take an example. This is just a tabular representation. Now, if you go out, I would ask a question among this. Now, even this chart is easy to understand, even this table is easier to understand. But among this, who is the market leader? What was their market share? If I would have shared this tabular representation, if you read this table also, 90% of the people will forget what they have read. After 5 minutes or after 10 minutes also, they'll forget. Now, if the same representation can be shown like a graph, interactive, easy to understand, it will directly, you can see for every quarter, the information is highlighted. There are certain logos, there are certain colors which are used. There is certain column representation. This is a column chart. There is a chart called as column chart. This is a column chart which is available in Power BI. With this column chart representation, it is very easy to guess, and you can, I'll guarantee you 95% of the people, 95% of the people will understand the data, will make sure this is easily grasped. If I would have shown this, 90% of the people will not understand. Or maybe they'll, even though they read it after certain time or after 5 minutes also, they'll forget about this. But if I show this pictorial representation, it is very easy to guess. 95% of the people will guess which is the market leader, which is second, which is third, and I mean, what is their current status? What is the market penetration? Every information can be captured here. Now, with this pictorial representation, what it is trying to convey, a picture is worth 1,000 words. A picture is worth 1,000 words. A picture is nothing but this is a graphical representation. This is a certain graph which I've created. So importance of visualization, importance of pictures, importance of graphs, any information can be analyzed. It will help us to improve the business. Primary motto is improve revenue. To improve revenue, we have to go back and see what is our business. To improve our business, it should be something in reports. Now, what does this reports convey? Reports will always have graphs. Reports will always have pictures. So which will help us to make data-driven decisions. Now, let's take one more example. This is more interesting example, YouTube business case. Now, what does this YouTube business case mean? This is nowhere related to YouTube. This is related to the advertisements which are placed in YouTube. Now, how many of you see daily vlogs or how many of you see YouTube on daily basis? How many of you see YouTube on daily basis? Might be your vlogs or any YouTube videos. Not with respect to vlogs, any information videos also you want to learn something. Okay, so I have few answers. Now, what do you see? Let's go with Sushmita. What do you see in YouTube on daily basis?
Vlogs and all.
Okay. Uh, mm, Vlogs. Okay. Anything, information. I mean, any informative video which you want to see also. I mean, nowadays everyone is seeing YouTube. Why? Because everything is detailedly explained and it is free. You need not pay anything for it. Even there is a YouTube Premium. Premium is ads free. That is only thing. But all the videos can be easily viewed in YouTube. That too free. Now, if I take few examples for every video, okay, Ankush has said that for all technical videos, all data visualization, he sees YouTube. Very good. See, for every information, if you want to search, nowadays people are, rather than reading, they'll always go to YouTube. There itself, your answer, there itself, your uh, use case comes into picture. If you read something, 90% of the information, there is a very high chance you tend to, or you try to, or you tend to forget. But if you see it in YouTube, 90% of the information which you have seen on YouTube, you'll visualize it. Maybe you'll remember after a few days also, even after a few months as well. But if you read it something, it is very difficult to, remember that specific, whatever information we have read. So that is where the YouTube plays an important role. Your video, your pictorial representation is important. Now in this YouTube also, for every video which you see, there are multiple advertisements which are being placed. Now, if I take an example, I'm not sure how many of you have used any of the product from this company. You might have used, but one who are using this product, neither doctor recommended it, neither any healthcare advisor would have recommended you, neither anyone from the current market would have recommended you, only YouTube would have recommended you. Why? Because multiple ads are being placed by Mama Earth. This is purely a YouTube product. They have primarily concentrated their business on YouTube. For every video you see on YouTube, you might see one ad related to Mama Earth. So that is where they have grasped their market. YouTube advertisement in COVID, or in maybe when the lockdown was there up till 2022, when the market was still down, in that case, in that year, up till that year, they were completely advertising on YouTube. Nothing apart from YouTube they have done. Every influencer, every vlogger, they have suggested they would have advertised for Mama Earth. That is where they have grasped the market. This is just an example. If you take one more example, I'm not sure if you people again know this company, you know this name, Listerine. This is a mouthwash. And if you go to any dentist also, none of the dentists would recommend to use this mouthwash, because for every person, for every doctor, there are certain set of people who are coming, they are giving certain use case of their product, that this is what our product is. There is a MR, medical representative, who always visits a doctor. They'll give certain representation that this is the current product. Can you recommend this product to your patients? But you can see this product is never recommended by doctor or any dentist. Why? Because this is this company nowhere does any marketing with respect to doctors. They always place an ad on YouTube. They try to grasp their market from a YouTube. Why? Because 95% of the people are using YouTube nowadays for any information. Why? Because it's a video, it's a pictorial representation, easy to understand. With every time every person is YouTube on daily basis, if you see the ads, somewhere you are getting highlighted, somewhere you are getting a very high feel that how come these products are highlighting on so high scale? Can we utilize? Can we go back and purchase certain product from Mamaearth? Can we purchase certain product from Listerine? Let's see how this product works. These two products or these two companies have completely marketed on YouTube. They have zero presence in market as compared to medical representation, as compared to doctor recommendation. But if you see, these products are available everywhere in the market without any additional advertisement apart from YouTube. They'll never advertise in the TV ads. They'll never advertise in any other places. Even you'll not see any billboards outside, but they'll always advertise on YouTube. Why? Because 90 or 95% of the people are viewing YouTube on daily basis. So that is where the business comes into picture. How can you improve your business without spending more amount? Even YouTube is also costly, because YouTube also takes high revenue, and they'll try to share that revenue with multiple individuals who are using or utilizing YouTube on daily basis. But still, if you compare it with any medical representation or any doctor, it is easy to reach high scale of market with very limited revenue or with very limited amount of money which you are spending. At the last, let's take an example. You might have, I mean, you people would have using, some might use Spotify, some might use Amazon Music. The one who has Apple, they might use the Apple Music. And YouTube also has their own music platform. See, in order to make sure YouTube grasp their music platform business, let's forget about YouTube Music. Spotify in India also gained market with the help of YouTube only. In India, Spotify was nowhere a competitor, but now it is one of the widely used music streaming platform, and they have also gained market using YouTube. Spotify also advertise certain set of ads. They'll also generate revenue, but still Spotify was also advertising their own product on YouTube. Amazon was also advertising their own product on YouTube. Maybe not Apple Music. Sometimes even Apple also advertise on YouTube. Very rare chance, but still they also advertise. I mean, the YouTube, when they launched their own music platform, they found it very difficult. Why? Because all these competitors were also advertising on YouTube, their own platform itself. They had to make sure they gain their business. YouTube music is not that used widely in India or maybe any part of the world as compared to any other music streaming platform. And all this music streaming platform had advertised on YouTube itself. So one of the important business cases, YouTube is used by 90% or 95% of the people around the world who are using internet on daily basis, or using smartphones, or using internet on daily basis. If you want to reach this high scale of people without very less amount of revenue, then the best option is advertise on YouTube rather than advertising it individually, rather than advertising it on any TV channels. Nowadays, people are not even viewing TVs on frequent basis. They always go back and see live streaming on YouTube, live streaming on any other live streaming platform. So if you advertise in any live streaming platform, any platform which is used on daily basis, it is very easy to reach that market. It is very easy to grasp that market. The best example is Mama. The best example is Listerine. They are not recommended by any doctor. They are not recommended by any medical representative also, but still they are ruling the markets. Why? Just because of mere advertisement on YouTube. Even any music streaming platform, might be Spotify, might be Apple Music, might be Amazon Music, all the advertisements are done on YouTube. So YouTube is the best platform to reach so high scale of people. Why? Because everyone uses YouTube on daily basis. So data, reach of your, how many people you are going to reach, what is the exact amount of penetration you have. So all this information plays an important role. This is just made an example business case. Now, if you see, this is a pictorial representation of YouTube, which is being viewed by each age group. Viewing hours by each age group. This is just a chart. If you see people with 75 to 85 age, there is a very less usage. Same goes with 65 to 75, but as compared to 75 to 85, there is a slightly high growth. If you again come down to minus 10 years, again there is a growth. Minus 10 years, again there is a growth. Minus 10 years, again there is a growth. Now there is a competition between 15 to 25 and 25 to 35. How can you make sure these people are viewing? You can click here, you can show. If you see here, the peak is here, whereas the peak for 25 to 35, 15 to 25 is here. So why people from age of 15 to 25, there is a less viewing as compared to 25 to 35 is, people with this age group might not own their mobiles. There is a very high chance because after 18 or after 20 years of age only, they might end up purchasing a mobile. Now, that is the reason people with age group 25 to 35 are using YouTube. Their viewing hours are more as compared to 15 to 25, which is more kind of younger crowd. So with this pictorial representation, it is very easy to understand. It is very easy to grasp how this information is being analyzed. Usage of YouTube, how to reach how many customers, what is the exact usage of YouTube, the penetration of YouTube at each customer age group. So you have to target, if you want to advertise on YouTube, you have to target certain set of people. So with this pictorial representation, you can analyze what is the exact usage of YouTube by each age group. You can partition this data like this. What is their peak usage? You can get that peak usage here. So a visualization plays an important role with respect to any business, with respect to anything which which you want to visualize, which you want to make sure that improve that business. This pictorial representation plays an important role. Now, let's understand some scenarios. I'll give you certain scenarios. I want you people to answer. This is an example of Microsoft Azure. So Microsoft Azure has business almost around 60 countries in the world, more than 60 countries. I'm saying it has 60 plus regions or 60 plus countries. Now, if I take an example of cloud services with respect to Azure, their USA business is increasing 10%. Their India business is increasing 20%. This is the highest increase which Microsoft or which Azure has faced in last 5 years. Their Japan business is increasing 15%. Their Australia business is increasing 10%. Their Europe business is increasing 16%. And if I come down, except India, their Asia business is down by 10%. Okay, 10%, okay, we can cover. Any company can cover. A company like Microsoft can cover 10% losses without any problem. They might give certain additional offers to any other country except India, which is in Asia. But if you certainly focus on this country, China, which is down by 35%. Now, there are three major cloud competitors in the world. One is AWS, one is Azure, one is GCP. And if I wanted to highlight specifically, GCP has no presence in China. Google Cloud Platform has no presence in China. Azure was introduced in China in 2014. Azure was introduced in 2012, almost every part of the world, but in 2014 it was introduced in China. China is a restricted economy. They will never use any products which are out of China, which are coming out of China, which are coming out from China, because Azure is a product of USA, Azure is a product of Microsoft. They haven't allowed Azure for 2 years to enter their market. But still, Azure have made sure they follow China rules. They follow all the restrictions of Chinese government. Still, they have entered market with certain revenue. They thought might be they'll generate certain revenue. Anyways, their business is still down, but they have introduced Azure China in 2014. With this introduction, it has forced its competitor, which is Amazon Web Service, to enter China, but it took almost plus 2 years. The AWS entered China in 2016 as compared to Azure. Now, how Azure will improve with this information? Let's analyze. Let's analyze average performance of Azure. 10% increase in USA, 20% in India, 15% in Japan, 10% in, what was this? 10% is where? 10% in Australia, 15% in Japan, 16% in Europe region, might be, 35% loss in China, 10% loss in other countries, other Asian countries, apart from India. If you aggregate this average performance, there are total 7 regions which I'm trying to compare. There is an average loss of 3%. There is an average loss of 3%. Would you think Azure is in complete loss? With this information which I've highlighted, do you think Azure is in complete loss? Their average loss is going down. Their average revenue is going down by 3%. Would you think Azure will close their business? With this information which we have, they'll never ever close this business. Now, why they will not close this business? I'll give you an highlight. If you only focus on these two conditions, it is mere loss for you. Why? Because China is a restricted country. We can't do anything there. If you compare the revenue of AWS, revenue of AWS is down by 45% in China. As compared to Azure, this is way much 10% higher. Their losses are 10% higher. But if you remove these two countries, will Azure close their business in China? No. Even in world nor in China, they'll never ever close their business. What they'll do, they'll try to focus more on that region and they'll try to remove or they'll try to reduce their losses. But if I highlight certain thing, only USA, only India, only Japan, only Australia, only Europe business I'm trying to take. And if you see, if I divide it by only 5 regions, there is a very high gain of 14.2%. The revenue increased by 14.2% without China and any other Asian countries, except India. India is one of the highest cloud competitor user in nowadays. If you compare AWS, if you compare Azure, if you compare GCP, every cloud platform has their high presence in Indian market. So rather than directly jumping to the conclusion, you have to always go back and see where their business is in loss. Remove that loss making business. Make sure you are analyzing your profit making business. Get your gain. You are gaining. The Azure is gaining 14.2% in these 5 markets. And these 5 markets are important markets for Azure as compared to China. China is a restricted country. So they'll always focus on China, but they'll try to reduce their losses. Overall, there is a loss of 3% with all 7 regions, but there is a gain of 14.2% if you remove this loss-making entities. Now, what Azure has gained with Mooncake business? Now, what do you mean by Mooncake? This you will never get anywhere. Azure Mooncake is nothing but Azure China. Azure have given a certain name to their China business, which is Azure Mooncake. It is called as Azure Mooncake. They have given certain name. I'm not sure how they have come to the conclusion of this mooncake, but they have given a name which is called as Azure China, which is equal to Azure Mooncake. Now, this is mere an example how data will analyze, how data will play an important role. With the Azure business in China, they have forced their competitor. They have introduced in 2014. Up till 2014, only China was the country where Azure haven't reached. But in 2014, they have also reached China. So they have worldwide presence. They have forced their competitor to invest in China. The AWS was not interested to focus on China, but still with the introduction of Azure in China, they have forced their competitor. And with their force, you can see AWS growth is minus 45% as compared to minus 35%. And if I specifically wanted to highlight, Azure business losses were minus 70% in 2019. They have come down to minus 35% in 2014. In mere 5 years, Azure have improved their business in China. So analyzing data is important. Do not come to the conclusion. If this was the only example, there was a loss of 3%. But why there was a loss of 3%? You have to get that minus loss-making entities. Remove that loss-making entities. If you remove it, there is a gain of 14%, which is very, very high. A market is improving by 14.2%, which is very high. Yes, there are loss-making entities, but revenue generated from China is very low. If Azure, just take an example, if Azure is generating around $200 million from India, it was in 2022. This is just an example. If in 2022, if it had generated $200 million, so there is an increase of 20% business. So it would have generated 240 million in 2023. This is a 20% increase in business, right? This is mere a 20% increase in business. But if you compare with China, there is a loss of 35%. But if the amount of revenue which is generated from China is around 1 or 2 millions, why to focus on China much? Anywhere there, you have to keep your presence in every part of the world. That is the business. But if your revenue is very low, which is being generated very low, even your losses are very low there. If there is a loss of minus 35%, if there is a decrease minus 35% revenue, but still if your revenue is 1 to 2 million, would you close your business here? No. You will always focus on the business where profits are high. So that is how business, that is how the analysis of data plays an important role. You should never directly come to conclusion. You should first analyze where we are going wrong, where can we improve, what is the amount of revenue generated, what is the amount of loss being generated from that particular region. Loss percentage is high in China, but revenue generated or loss, I mean, anything which is loss making entity also very high, low. If Azure is making losses of 1 million, this is not a problem. But if they are gaining 40 million, 20 million, 20% of the customers in India, which is very high. So they'll never close their business anywhere in the world because market presence is compulsion. If you want to capture the market, you have to present in loss-making entities as well. So in order to prove anything, you should have a proof. And this is what I've given you a proof. Azure India has a very high business, but their percentage growth is 20%, not a problem. But amount of revenue generated is very high. But if you see the losses in percentage in China, it is 35%. But in terms of revenue, it is 1 to 2 million, which is very bare less. Importance of understanding business. Now, what do you mean by business analysis? If you're working as a data analyst, you should also know what do you mean by business. It is requirement elicitation. It is requirement planning and management. You should always start with first step. This is step 1. Get the data, management and planning of data, understanding the data, understanding the exact requirement on with the data which you are getting, what you want to analyze. You should always get that requirement. Solution evolution. You should think on solution. You should think on validation. What can be done with that data, which is step 4. Analysis. Once the solution is prepared, you have to go back and analyze. You have to go back and document what you have done. At the last, it is enterprise analysis, which is nothing but sharing your information to the client. Step 1 is requirement planning. Step 2 is requirement elicitation. Step 3 is what is the exact requirement, understanding that requirement. Step 4 is with that requirement, giving or creating certain solutions. If the solutions are created, you need to document what you have done. At the end, share all this information in step 7 to client to make sure he's improving his business with all this information. This is a circular representation of business analysis. If you skip any step, you're directly jumping from step 1 to step 4. This is completely wrong. You should always go one after the other, from step 1 to step 2, from step 2 to step 3, from step 3 to step 4. So every step is important. Every step will play an important role. So as a business analysis, as a data analyst, it is our importance to read. It is our importance to process every step one after the other, then only come to the conclusion and share that conclusion to the client. Importance of business, importance of data. Now, let's take an example. As a data analyst, you have to always use all this importance, all these components. Now, I'll only take 15 minutes, not more than 15 minutes. As a data analyst, you should always see if your data is correct or not, if your data is clean or not. If you see here, data is not much clean. For Ankit, okay, gender is male. For Hema, gender is FEM. We can guess it's a female, but the information is not correctly available. For Kartika, I'm not sure how this name is male, but anyways, it is highlighted as M. So the data is not correctly mentioned here. As a data analyst, it is our importance, it is our responsibility to make sure your data is clean. Either use initials or either use complete name. This is cleaning of data. Let's look at one of the example again. The same example, if you see their ages are also mentioned, but the age is mentioned in different formats. One is in years, one is in months, one is, I'm not sure what is 25.43. This is year or maybe this is a decimal number, but some individual have mentioned 1900 or 1990. Some of the individual have mentioned combination, years and months. So this is not a clean data, but as a data analyst, as a Power BI developer, it is our priority to go back and clean the data. 300 months is 25 years, 30 years is 30 years, 25.43, it should not be decimal, it should be either crystal clear age. 240 months is 20 years. From 1990, your age is 32. So somewhere it's around 34 now. So somewhere your data has to be very precise and clear. Cleaning of data is also important aspect. So as a data analyst, we should always focus on clean data. We should always improve our data, make sure our data is clean, and then only come to the final conclusion, final reporting purpose. So business intelligence. This is what we have seen up till now. What do you mean by business intelligence? Business intelligence includes data warehousing. It includes data discovery and visualization, which is nothing but your reporting. It includes data quality management. If your data is clean or not. Data quality. This also plays an important role. It also includes self-serve BI. Now, what do you mean by self-serve BI? Automation. Automation. Your data integration, how you are integrating data with multiple reporting tools, how you are integrating data from multiple sources. Because source will never remain same. Data would be coming from multiple sources. So integration of data is also important factor. How do you make sure the data is governed? Now, govern means if you're working in Power BI report, and if that report has a sensitive information, can you share that information? Can you share that report with every individual who is a part of certain organization? You cannot, because data is sensitive data. If that data needs to be shared with certain set of people, you need to use a concept called as RLS. RLS is nothing but your governance of data. You're governing who is the user, who is using, who is consuming the data which you have created in the reports. With the RLS role level security, you can give certain security aspects. You can mention which people should see what kind of data. Only that data is visible to certain set of people. So all these points plays an important role. If you're working as a BI developer, if you're working as a business intelligence consultant, if you're working as a Power BI, even Power BI is a BI. You can see the BI. Business intelligence is important factor nowadays. So you should know all these components. You should have expertise in all these fields. So business intelligence combines business analytics. It combines data mining. It combines data visualization. It combines data tool and infrastructure, best practices to help organization make more data-driven decisions. If you combine all these factors, then only you are an end-to-end important business intelligent analyst or Power BI developer. So all these factors plays an important role. So up till now, whatever we have seen, what is importance of data, what is importance of visualization, with all this, we have come to the conclusion that data, wherever there is a data, there has to be some reporting, there has to be some visual, which will help us to improve our business. Now, how do I make sure the improvement of reporting can be done? The current market, the current market leader is Power BI. So at the end, what we are concluding is importance of Power BI, importance of visualization. Now, what do you mean by Power BI? It is nothing but a business intelligence tool, which was introduced by Microsoft in 2014. This was introduced in 2014. Even though it was introduced in 2014, it had gained market presence from 2017 and 18. For almost 3-4 years, this was nowhere present in the market, or still it was very rarely used. But starting from 2017, that means end of 2017 and start of 2018, Power BI is a market leader. If you compare any tool in the market, Power BI is leading since last 6 or 7 years. This is a complete dominance by Power BI as compared to any other tool. It had overthrown its mere competitor. It's one of the highest competitor was Tableau. It had overthrown Tableau's business within 3 years. Starting from 2017 in 2019, it had taken market dominance. It is first in reporting as compared to any other tool from 2019. Since last 5 years, it's a market leader. So what does Power BI mean? Power BI will help us to analyze the data. It will also help us to clean the data. Even cleaning the data is important. This is what the cleaning data means. You have to always go back and clean the data. If your data is not clean, you cannot visualize your data. So it will help us to visualize. It will help us to create charts. It will help us to create maps. It will help us to create graphs. Everything can be done with the help of Power BI. So important thing or important aspect is, up till now, whatever you have seen, wherever there is visualization, wherever there is analysis of data, wherever the data is clean, wherever there are charts, wherever there are maps, wherever there are graphs, it will always have an impact on the business. It will always have an impact on the certain set of people, or maybe every individual is more interested on visuals as compared to only simple data. So with the help of Power BI, we can do all this stuff. The very first tab which we have seen, the very first understanding, or the very first tab, introduction to Power BI. Up till now, we have seen the importance of visualization. But with this visualization, it is important to understand what does this Power BI mean. Introduction to Power BI, it's almost took 1 hour to understand what do you mean by visualization. Now we have come to the point, what do you mean by Power BI? Power BI is nothing but a visualization tool which will help us to make reports and dashboards to improve our business. If you want to improve revenue, improve your business. If you want to improve your business, make sure you are analyzing your data. How do you analyze your data? With the help of Power BI, which is nothing but a reporting tool. So for time being, up till now, we have seen what you mean by Power BI. We will see the advantages and importance of Power BI in tomorrow's session. Our primary agenda was to make sure how visualization plays an important role that we have got. Where do we make sure visualizations are all correct? With the help of Power BI, we can do all this visualization, all this reporting easily. We will see all the advantages, disadvantages of Power BI in tomorrow's session. The exact criteria, the exact idea about this session was to understand visualization. And this course would be primarily of 3 months, 3 months course. Now, 3 months means it will include Power BI plus Azure. Now, for the people who also want to learn SQL, yes, even SQL would be covered. If you want to learn SQL, you would be added to some other batch. That is one point. If you want to learn SQL independently, then after these 3 months, there would be 1 month course of SQL as well. So altogether, complete 4 months course. Complete 4 months, 5 days a week, from Monday to Friday. It would be from 8 to 9:30 in the morning, 8 to 9:30 a.m. We have already completed. There is already a batch which has started. We have already completed with SQL. Now, for the people who would be joining to Power BI, they will always have an advantage. They can be added to some other SQL batch if you want to learn SQL simultaneously, or else once Power BI and Azure is done, we would be covering SQL again. So there you would be added back. If you want to learn SQL, I mean, completely different, not to combine with Power BI and Azure. You can learn it completely separate. Yes. Complete 4 months, 1 month for SQL. which we have already completed for this batch. But if you are joining for Power BI, you would be definitely added to the next batch. If you want to learn simultaneously, you would be added to that simultaneous batch, or else once Power BI and Azure is done, 2 months of Power BI, complete 2 months of Power BI, where we would be covering all the parts of Power BI, each and every stuff which is part of Power BI, including Fabric. Fabric would also be covered, everything in detail. Third, where it would be only 1 month of Azure. We would be covering Azure cloud aspects in Azure, specifically ADF, Azure Data Factory, specifically Synapse, specifically Logic Apps.
You are attend, ma'am. I was in Nasi. I am unable to attend this.
If you are able to speak, if you are trying to speak, could you please unmute again, because there is some error at my end. Yeah. Now, Ankush has a question. He has posted in a chat. Is Power BI part of Azure Data Engineering? No. For data engineering, it's a complete different course. There we are not covering Power BI. There only data engineering components would be covered. It would be in depth of Azure, in depth of Python. In this course, there is no Python. There is complete SQL. There is complete Power BI. There is Azure engineering with respect to data analyst. I mean, with respect to Power BI, you need understanding of ADF, which is nothing but a ETL tool. You need understanding of Synapse, which is nothing but a combination of ADF and some other Azure cloud services. You would be learning basics of Databricks. You would be learning understanding of logic apps. You would be learning understanding of ADLS services, which are used from a data analyst point of perspective. All these services I would be covering in Azure sessions. This is not data engineering. This is a more a kind of Power BI full stack data analyst course. Any other questions? I guess Vaibhav had a question. Vaibhav, you can go ahead with your question. Okay, now coming down at the end, which is important thing. What is the, I might have highlighted 4 months is the duration. What is the exact fees of this course? The course would cost you 30K. Now this is 30K. Now why 30K is justified? You would be getting 2 months of Fabric and Power BI license, which is a pro license, pro as well as premium. We might be giving you pro, but it would also be upgraded to premium. So for premium license per user per month, it would cost you around 2000 per month. So we are spending per user, per individual who is joining this course, 2000 per month. So somewhere it would be 4000 for 2 months, where you would be getting 2 months of premium license from Power BI. So course would be around 26K plus 4000. This is what the Power BI license is. Without Power BI license, you cannot learn Power BI. Desktop you can learn, but if you want to publish, if you want to learn end to end, it has to be complete Power BI, including your premium license. So the course fees is of 30K. Now out of this 30K also, I'll again highlight, out of this 30K also, there are options. If you want to pay it in one single installment, you will get a discount of 3000. You can pay 27,000. This is only one installment. If you want to pay in two installments, you will get a discount of 2000. This is two installments. And if there are three installments, it has to be 10K, 10K, and 10K. So there won't be any discount for three installments. Total fees is of 30,000. One-time payment 3,000. Two EMIs or two installments 2,000 discount. Three installments no discount. And again, I've justified course is of 26K. 4K licenses is additionally provided for each individual for Power BI, including Fabric and Power BI Premium. Any other questions with respect to this course? Do not bother. People will also have a question that SQL is already covered. Is it necessary to learn SQL prior to learning Power BI? See, you will always have an advantage. Here in KSR, if any course is being taken care, every course will always have a SQL, and SQL is same for every course. So you can either be added to any other SQL course if there are some other courses going on. If you do not like it, if you are not interested, still you can attend. If you do not like it, at the end you can say that I was getting confused because I was parallelly learning Power BI and SQL. Can you add me to independent SQL course once Power BI and Azure is done? Even you would be added to a new SQL batch where complete SQL would be covered after Power BI and Azure. Now, Sai Ashish has a question that will you cover Power Automate? Power Automate is a part of Power Platform. There is a separate course for Power Platform where you would be covered Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, all anything related to Power or anything related to Microsoft Power Stack or Power Platform Stack. Now, if you want to cover Power Automate, as you said, if you want to cover Power Automate, if you want to learn at Power Automate, we would be covering Logic Apps in Azure. Logic Apps and Power Automate are 99% same. Power Automate is a part of Office Suite, whereas Logic Apps is a part of Microsoft Azure. Yes, I would be covering Logic Apps, and I would be giving you explanation how Logic Apps plays an important role with respect to Power BI. I would be covering that, but it is not Power Platform course. We would not be covering anything related to Power Platform except Power Automate, which is similar like Logic Apps. And see, would be this understanding of Logic Apps, whatever topics I would be covering with respect to Power Automate, it would be as per data analyst, because we are not a Power Platform developer here. We are a data analyst. We should know how Logic Apps will help us to improve the Power BI developer to make sure businesses are running. So that components I would be covering. Sachin has a question, can we get live projects working? I would be covering 3 projects in Power BI, 3 live projects. The classes which are for 5 days, you would get free sessions, 5 live sessions free. But after this 5 sessions, it's a paid session. Every session is available. You can go back and check your recordings. If you are, by chance, if you missed something, if you're not attending for 1 day, recordings are there. You can go back and check all your recordings. There would be a WhatsApp group created. You would be added to that WhatsApp group. You are part of, once you are part of this course, you have any questions, you can ask your questions in that WhatsApp group. Yes, we would be answering their questions. I would be covering 3 different projects. Apart from this, I would be sharing few other data sets also, where you can practice your Power BI reporting purpose for your Power BI reporting. I would be explaining you, apart from these 3, I would be explaining you what all data sets I would be sharing. How can you improve? How can you make your reporting there? What all factors you need to consider while working on Power BI. So all that stuff would be covered.
Hi, Ritesh.
Hey, go ahead, Sagar.
Good morning. This class also will be recording will be available, right?
Yes. Complete recordings would be available. For 5 days, all these sessions are free. You can, these recordings would also be available on YouTube. After 5 days, it would be closed. So you have to log in and you have to always
Yeah,
go
that
back to
I
your
know
recordings.
because SQL also we have seen.
Yep.
And
Now,
one more generic question is that we have career how it will be in Power BI because
yep.
of this automation. Do we
Okay.
get any calls or future after 2-3 years or else anything we have to upgrade?
Let me give you an idea. It's just a small idea. So prior to jumping to your question, there are a few questions related to PL 300. Will you provide any assistance with related to resume building? See, apart from this course, there are many other sessions which are conducted in KSR. Now, that sessions include the resume building. It includes resume building. It includes career guidance. There are multiple sessions. It includes how HR will I mean, there are a few sessions which are conducted by HRs also. The HRs by certain companies, by certain service-based companies, where the HRs come and give you highlights how your resumes are shortlisted. What is the interview process? Yes, we would be covering. How interviews are given. What are tips of interviews? How you should approach any interview question? Even that would be covered in this session. There are multiple other interactive sessions. Apart from this, you would also be covered project management. How to manage your project, which is nothing but agile. Agile is also important nowadays. Agile project management, yes, agile project management session would also be taken care. Now, coming down to Sagar's question, what is the current market trend? See, let's take an example. If the data is coming from 5 different sources, this is just an example. If the data is coming from 5 different sources, and for these 5 different sources, you have to go back and clean this data, right? Every time the data is not clean, you have to go back and clean, you have to go back and see whether the data is correct or not. You cannot load complete data to reporting tool. You have to only load whichever data is useful for us, useful for reporting. There is no automation tool for cleaning. There is no automation. There is no automation here. This you have to do manually. Now coming down, once the data is clean, you have to load data to Power BI. Loading data to Power BI is also done manually. There is no automation here. Now, once that is done, if you are loading data, if there are multiple data sets, there is a relationship between data sets. I guess you're a part of SQL. We have seen already the importance of relational database. There, if there are relationship between multiple tables or multiple data sets, only then the information would be correctly represented in Power BI visuals. If you want to do data modeling, which is nothing but relationship between multiple data sets, multiple sources of data, data modeling cannot be done with the help of any automation tool. You cannot do, you have to do it manually, right? Now, step 1, cleaning data manually, loading data manually, modeling data manually, coming down to the 4th step, which is reporting. Now here in reporting, there is a automation. There is automation. I'm not saying automation is not there. There is a Copilot. Microsoft have introduced Copilot. Now, what does this Copilot do? Copilot will only suggest you whether visual is correct or not. Now, if you have created a column chart, this is how a column chart will look like. This is x-axis, this is y-axis. In this x-axis and y-axis, if the customer is not interested to view this visual, Copilot will only suggest this visual. It will not give you the final output. You have to always go back and manually change the visual if the customer is not satisfied with this visual. Automation is there, but automation is restricted to only front end, which is visualization. Apart from visualization, all the stuffs can be done manually. There is no automation present. And if you see the automation in reporting, if you see the automation at the front end also, which is nothing but your visual, Copilot will only suggest visuals. It will not guarantee whether that visual is correct fit or not. It will suggest colors, which color is suitable. If that color is not been liked by client, you have to go back manually and change that color. You have to go back manually and change the formatting of that complete report. Copilot will never change formatting. It will only improve. It will highlight the importance of visual. With the introduction of automation, it is not taking your jobs, it is improving the jobs. Keep one thing in mind. Wherever there is automation, if a person doesn't know automation, that means his job is in danger. No, that is not the case. If you know automation, that means it will improve the performance of your job. If you are doing one report for 1 week, if you're developing a report for 1 week, with the introduction of Copilot, you can develop a report in 5 days. That's it. But for this 5 days also, only visualization is where Copilot is present. Copilot is nothing but your automation in Power BI. Nowhere Copilot is present. Nowhere in cleaning data, nowhere in loading data, nowhere in modeling data, only at the front end, only at the visualization, that too with certain set of restrictions. So keep it in mind, if you are a Power BI developer, your job is not in risk, but it is always recommended to learn automation because it will help us to improve the analysis. It will fast up the process. That's the only advantage. It will not take your jobs. Take it in return, it will not take your jobs. Anything, wherever you, not with respect to Power BI. If you take an example, I'm not sure. If you take an example of testing, automation testing was introduced in 2008. Prior to that, there was all manual testing. There were some automation tools which were introduced. Have you seen there is a dip in testing jobs? There is never a dip in testing jobs. There are more number of testers as compared to developers nowadays, because testing is important. Understanding the data, whether the data is correct or not. I mean, how the data is correct. I mean, whatever developer has developed, whether that data is correct or not, whether that data which is being represented is always, it has to be crystal clear. Number of testing jobs have not reduced with the introduction of automation. It has always increased. Yes, automation will improve the process, but it will not take any jobs. This is just mere a market strategy. Never ever fall down to any market strategy. Market strategy is improve the performance, not to take any jobs. And Power BI will stay for long. It will stay for almost 10 years from now. Take future 10 years, it would be Power BI only. But I would always say, if you only learn Power BI, it is not. Anyone nowadays are learning visualization. Visualization is not that difficult to learn. But prior to visualization, if you learn data cleaning can be done in Power BI. But if you learn any additional ETL tool, because Power BI has certain restrictions. If the data is greater than 1 million records, Power BI will always slow up the process. But if you use any ETL tool, what does this ETL mean? ETL means ADF, Azure Data Fabric. It's an ETL tool. So anything which is related to ETL can be part of any cloud service. If you additionally learn cloud, if you additionally learn ETL tool, if you additionally learn some engineering concepts, not all engineering concepts, it would be always an added advantage. So for that reason, we are covering topics which are part of Azure, which are useful from a data analyst, which are useful from a Power BI point of perspective. I guess, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, Ritesh, I got your point. Thanks.
Hi, Ritesh.
Hey,
I have asked you one question in a chat
yeah,
box.
sure. I'm going through that question. Just a moment. I'm going through each and every question. So if you're unable to attend, Rujita, okay. Yeah, got you. So you're part of SQL batch. Anyways, see, keep first thing in mind. If you're learning SQL, keep your SQL pace similar with Power BI. But if you're directly joining to Power BI, there are few people who already know SQL. For that reason, for Power BI also, there are some new additions to this specific batch we are taking. So if you are learning SQL and if you're learning Power BI, then you're, if you directly jump to Power BI rather than learning SQL, somewhere you will feel certain difficulty. I'm not saying everything would be difficult. But if you're learning SQL and then Power BI, it's very smooth, easy to understand as well. But for the people who know some basics of SQL, they are very interested to learn Power BI, not with SQL. For them, yes, they can directly jump to Power BI because you already know basics of SQL. Only few basics of SQL that will play an important role. Even if you do not know, yes, we would be covering SQL in detail with a separate batch Or else, if you want to learn SQL simultaneously, you would be added to any live batch which is going on in KSR, because SQL is common in every course. So do not mess up. You can directly learn. If you are learning SQL and Power BI, it's a cherry on cake. You can learn it very easily. There's one more question from Ankush. Azure data engineering or full stack Power BI, which course would you recommend? I have 14 years of experience in MicroStrategy and BI. Ankush, let me ask you one question from my end. With your 14 years of experience, you might have reached a place where your CTC is around 25 plus. Is it?
That's correct.
Now, data engineering is a more a kind of programming and coding. The course which we would be covering in Power BI, only DAX is coding. DAX, not even complete coding, only formulas you have to run. Your mathematical formulas are used there. If you know maths good enough, your DAX can be learned easily. SQL, anyways, SQL is also somewhere similar like your mathematics and your English grammar. But for if you're for your age, if you are expecting more than 30 LPA for Power BI, yes, there are packages up to 25 and 30, but if you're expecting more than 30 LPA, then certainly I would recommend to go with data engineering. Why? Because this is more in demand with your experience. If you learn Power BI, yes, it's an advantage, but with your package, if you want to enter the market with a package strategy, data engineering is the best course for you. This is what my recommendation is.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
But if you are interested in coding, then you have to learn the data engineering is more a kind of coding, end-to-end coding. Python, your PySpark, your big data, your Hadoop, all that concepts come into picture. So there's one more question from Shanmuka. I have 7 years of experience in banking operations. Yes, Shanmuka, if you want to skip your career from non-IT to IT, yes, this course is developed in such a way. Once you end this course, you can highlight yourself as a 3+ years of experience in Power BI and Azure stack. So definitely, we as a team will make sure your resume is perfectly created. You can showcase yourself as a complete 3+ years of experience. You may be working with banking domain. In every domain, Power BI is used. So you can showcase your banking domain experience as a Power BI experience. That would be advantage, because you might already have a PF account on your name. So with that PF account, you can show your experience. There won't be any problem. And if I take an example, maybe I'll take an example in last to last batch, maybe last batch also, there are a few examples, but in last to last batch, there was an individual with 16 years of experience in mass media. He was a reporter, not reporter, more a kind of print media. He used to work for a newspaper. So he wanted to switch his career. End of his career, last 5-6 years of career, he wanted to switch. So he has learned this Power BI. He has showcased himself as a data analyst. He was working as a print media analyst, but he has showcased himself as a data analyst. He has got a job with good package. So anyone from any field can learn this. Only thing is, if you want to enter a field with certain experience, you need to have a PF account, irrespective of whatever field you're working. Non-technical field also, yes, you can showcase yourself with your previous experience if you have a PF account. If you do not have a PF account, there the picture comes into, your fake experience. I would not recommend to go with fake experience. So that is one important thing. Power BI license is valid for 2 months, Shruti. Yes, it is valid for 2 months. Apart from 2 months, there is a probability that Microsoft would extend. Certainly, but yeah, maximum is of 60 days. If it is extended, it's added advantage. I'll also help you how it can be extended, but I'm not giving you a guarantee. For 2 months, it is more than enough. Desktop would be anyways free.
Okay, Ritesh, thank you.
We need to know Excel for Power BI. Yogesh, no, it is not recommended. If you know basics of Excel, then Power BI is easy to understand, because Power BI is developed on Excel engine itself. So there's one more question. I'm a fresher. Can I learn this course? Yes, you can always. See, keep one thing in mind. For fresher also, to get entry to a certain field, irrespective of whatever field you are. I'm not talking about IT only, irrespective of whatever field you are. As a fresher, you will always feel a pain of 5, 6 months or probably 1 year maximum. But if you keep on searching, if you keep on improving yourself, there are many companies who are investing on freshers as well. There are many openings where Power BI is required for a fresher. Yes. And one of the example is, I'm not sure if you know the company name. There is a company name called as AstraZeneca. You might have taken Covishield vaccine. AstraZeneca is increasing their business in India, their IT business. So AstraZeneca Chennai has openings for freshers only for Power BI. This is latest update. Yesterday only they have posted. If you visit AstraZeneca jobs website, there you will always see freshers opening for Power BI. So there are openings. There is bit difficulty if you want to enter this field as a fresher. You will feel that pain, and that is common. I'm not saying with only with respect to IT field. With any field as a fresher, you will feel that pain. But once you enter that market, once you keep on searching, once you enter it, then there is no problem. With your experience, you can improve yourself. Raghuveer, is it possible to change the time of this course? No, as of now, the course is from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. There are no evening courses as of now. If you want to attend any evening course, probably there is no evening course. There was an evening course, which is almost ending now. I'm not sure when the new evening course would be covered or when the evening course would be started. Probably it will take next 40 or 45 days. So it will take more time. Not as of now. For now, it's 8 to 9:30 a.m. in the morning. Where are the recordings available, Hitesh? Recordings for 5 days are free. You can always visit our KSR YouTube channel. There you can search the day 1, day 2, day 3, all 5 days recordings. After 5 days, you would be added to a website. So if you want to enroll this course, let me show you how can you enroll this. This is our website. If you mention KSR, just mention KSR Datavizon. That's it. In the Google, if you search, this is our website. If you go to our website, this is the exact website. You have to always sign in. You have to always sign in here. So you have to create an account. You have to always sign in. Just a moment. Let me reshare it again. I'll sign in as a student and I'll show you how can you enroll to this course. Now I'm again resharing. See, if you visit our website, you click on this link from Google, you will visit to our website. You can check all the options. There are multiple things which are, you can explore this website also. There is a sign in option available. If you click on sign in, it will ask you to sign in. Once you sign in, if you're new, you can create a new account here with your Gmail account, Gmail email IDs. Your verification would be done. Your account would be created. Now, this is how, once you enter, this is how it will look alike. This is the ideal website. Once you log in. Now here you have to click on courses. Unless you log in, this option would not be available. Without login also, you can see courses which are available. This is separate. But if you log in, this is how the courses would be visible. If you come down to the courses, the very first tab is Full Stack Power BI June free preview. You can click on this. So it will open this course. The recording is available. Now, first 5 days is free. You can directly enroll this. If you click on enroll, the course would be added to your bucket. If you go to your courses, you can see your courses Just a moment. Your courses, your course would be added here. This is the free. Your course would be added here. You can directly check your course. You can directly access your recordings here. Whatever recordings. Now, this is what the current course is. And you can see all this information is kept. All this information, even SQL 5 days recordings are kept. YouTube recordings are kept here. There are certain information related to Power BI which are mentioned. If you go to this class records, you can check your class records here. Now, today's record would be available after some time. Today's record would be available after some time. If not, this 5 days sessions would be available directly on KSR YouTube channel. If you mention KSR YouTube, go to this channel. All the 5 sessions would be available here. It would be placed after 2 hours from now. It's 9:50 now, probably around 12, maximum of 12. If we learn Power BI and SQL side by side, there won't be any confusion. Yep, Shanmuka, it's up to you. If you are learning Power BI and SQL, if you are able to get well and good, if you're still getting confused, then you can drop SQL. You can learn Power BI if you're enrolling. Once the Power BI and Azure is done, I would be again taking a new session where you would be added to that SQL batch. You can learn SQL from there. There won't be any problem. You will get 2 options. You can utilize both the options. I'm not saying that you have to use either of the options.
పాపను చూస్తావా
You have to use either of the option. I'm not saying either of the option. You can use both of them. You can simultaneously attend SQL sessions from some other batches which are going live. If you're not getting it, you can be, you will be added to the new batch once the Power BI and Azure is done. For Sachin, how many data sources can we learn in Power BI course? Sachin, almost every data source I would be covering. Now, every means if you check with Power BI here in Power BI, let me open. These are multiple data sources. See, we would be covering all Fabric. I would be showing you how to connect data flows. I would be showing you how to connect Power BI data flows. Yes. I would be showing you file systems, every file system, probably SQL Server database, probably MySQL database. See, if you want to connect all these databases, I can connect if I have an account. But if you also want to connect, you need to have a cloud service. You need to spend an amount. So that is of no use. Connecting every database is simple. I would be showing you 2 to 3 databases how to connect. In case of Azure also, I would be showing you almost every Azure storage service which can be connected to Power BI. Blob storage, table storage, queue storage, your Azure Data Lake Gen 1, Gen 2, Data Explorer, your Synapse Analytics, your Databricks. Yes, all these options would be covered. Timing of batches 8 to 9:30, 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. in the morning. Sir, how to get access to this course after 5 days free sessions? If you want to enroll for this course, you can directly visit our website. A paid course would also be created. If not, you are getting confused, always reach out to our KSR team. Their numbers are highlighted here. If I come down or if you mention on contact, see the numbers are highlighted. If you can always contact our team, or you can send a SMS or send a ping on WhatsApp. Our team will always reach out to you. They will always help you how to enroll for this course. Maybe if you're enrolling from website, well and good. If you're not enrolling from a website, they'll also teach you how to enroll, how to make sure how the payments are made. There are options. If you want to enroll for this course after 5 days, also there are multiple options. You can pay via website. If you want to transfer the amount directly using UPI or bank transfer, even that is available. Always reach out to your team. Our contacts are mentioned. The contact numbers are mentioned. Email ID is mentioned. Or else if you click on send chat, it will open WhatsApp and you can send a chat message here also. Team will always reach out to you from whichever number you're trying to ping them. Okay, JK has a question, sir. Are you teaching Snowflake DB? Snowflake DB, you want to learn Snowflake DB or you want to learn Snowflake, how to connect Snowflake to Power BI? Maybe you can ask your question more precisely. I want to learn Snowflake. No, Snowflake is not covered. Okay, Snowflake is not a part of this course. There is a different course for Snowflake. It would be Snowflake with AWS. That is completely different course. Yeah, if you want to connect Snowflake DB with Power BI, maybe I can try that out. I can help you out how to connect it. But if you want to learn Snowflake, it is totally different.
No, sir. Actually, what happened, Snowflake also using, so simultaneously I will pick up Snowflake. So we are connecting as of now Power BI to Snowflake.
Okay. Okay, you
So in
want
that case,
also
are
want
you only teaching Snowflake also, no? Means other batch?
No, no. As for Snowflake, it's Krishna, it seems. I'm
Okay,
not, I'm more specific to analysis and engineering with Microsoft Stack, Power BI, Azure.
okay, right. Thank
What is the fee structure for Power BI? Only Power BI you want to learn, Guru, or you want to learn Azure as well?
Sir, only Power BI.
Okay, only Power BI, then it is different. You have to reach out to our team. They will help you what kind of Power BI, I mean, up till what can be covered and what is the fee structure. Because if I commit something now, it would be completely wrong. Only for Power BI, somewhere you have to go back to the team, only they will help you out. Connect with either of the numbers, one of them will answer. See, anyways, if you have multiple questions, the final person to answer with respect to fee course, I mean fees or courses related to this course is Mahesh, who is leading this KSR. So connect with the team. Say I'm not committing anything from my end. Why? Because I'm not sure with only respect to Power BI what is the exact course fees. Because it varies. It is completely 2 month structure. It also varies. You need to also have a license available to you. So for that reason, I'm recommending you to connect with KSR team. They will definitely help you out. It will, at the end, it will navigate to Mahesh only. So he's the right person to guide you. And the first number belongs to Mahesh. If you call this first number, he'll always, maybe if he's not answering the calls now, but he'll reach out to you after a certain set of time. He's always busy with other calls. If there is some additional information which you need with respect to course fees, he's the right person. Any other questions? Okay, can you please confirm Azure databases services covered in this course? Good question, Ankush. Now, what all components I would be covering, let me mention in Azure.
So Ritesh, so basically you can give me some idea like about the databases and services, not the connection with Power BI.
Yeah, got you. See,
Yeah, thank you.
in Azure, let me make it big. In Azure, we would be learning service one, which is ADF, the Azure Data Factory. Here, this is ETL. The second service which we would be learning is storage account. Now, storage account is broadly classified into multiple services. 2.A is ADLS Gen 1. 2.B is blobs. 2.C is Gen 2. So all these three components would be covered. Now, third service, rather it's a fourth service anyways, but I'll keep it as third service. We would be covering Databricks. Databricks, which is required. See, in Databricks, you need to have understanding of Python, basics of Python, but we would not focus on Python. We would learn PySpark here. I would be explaining you combination of Spark and Python, whichever is required. Why Databricks is used by Power BI analyst to bulk, load, and process the data. So this is what the primary agenda of Databricks is. And what is the architecture of database, how it will help us to improve the performance of any data processing that we would be learning. Fourth service is your Synapse. Now, what do you mean by Synapse? See, apart from Synapse, we would be learning SQL Server also. SQL Server is nothing but your SQL. If you are learning SQL, I would be also showing you how a SQL Server is created, how you can write a code, how you can dump a data, all that components would be written there, how that components would be discussed. So this is fourth service. At the end, one of the important service we would be learning is Synapse. Now, what do you mean by Synapse? Synapse is a combination of ADF plus SQL Server plus Databricks plus ADLS all together combined in one single environment. If you learn every service which is present here now, all the 4 above services, Synapse is a combination of all the services in one single environment. Now this we would be learning. After this, 6th service would be Logic Apps. Logic Apps is nothing but your flows, where flows are created. This is used for sending alerts, and kind of automation. For any Power BI report you create or for any logic you create, you can use a Logic Apps to send certain updates via email. So that we would be discussing. It is similar like Power Platform.
Is there any coding knowledge required for all these learning all these platform?
Now ADF, wherever there is a SQL, you should know SQL concepts. That's it. And for Databricks, I would be explaining you Spark knowledge. Only 5 to 10% is required. If you know the understanding of Databricks, why is it used, which is more than enough. For a Power BI developer, end-to-end Databricks is required for a data engineering, where your Python, where your PySpark complete coding comes into picture. So in our complete course in Power BI also, you should know DAX. DAX is where coding comes into picture. This is not a coding. This is equal to mathematics formula, maths formulas. DAX is nothing but maths formulas. If you know formulas, more than enough. So complete coding is not there. 70% of the course is coding free. 20% is formula, 10% is your coding. I hope this answers.
Ritesh, just maybe one last question. Actually, in the syllabus, I see something mentioned as Microsoft Fabric.
Yeah.
What
Fabric
is
a part of Power BI.
Okay.
It's a part of Power BI. And what does the Fabric mean? Fabric is a combination of Azure services in Power BI service. If you learn this service, you can utilize Fabric easily. So Fabric is nothing but where ADF, Databricks, SQL Server, your Synapse engineering, your data activator, all these components are clubbed together in one single umbrella, which is part of Power BI service. So it's a part of Power BI. We would be covering that.
Okay. And for this Python and PySpark, like, will there be any beginner or la basic Python or some code?
Basic Spark understanding, I'll give you highlights. I'll also I'll also explain you how Python works. Basics of Python, I'll definitely.
Sure.
If you directly jump to Python, it is very difficult. Then also, for that reason only, I would be explaining. And Python is easy. The basics of Python is very easy, straightforward. Any other questions?
Sir, one last question.
Go ahead.
Actually, Power BI and SQL both are in same time they're teaching, right? If you want to learn side by side, how is it possible?
Okay, now see, how is it possible? I'm not saying to learn Power BI. Power BI sessions are 8 to 9:30. There are multiple batches going on for other courses where SQL is also covered. Now, if you are available at that time, you can attend live sessions. If you are not available, you can check the recordings. This is up to you. If you are getting confused again, I'm not saying that you can utilize this option. If you're getting confused, you can still attend all the sessions which are simultaneously covered by some other trainer. If you again want to attend SQL from my end itself, where I would be training as a separate, you have to wait for Power BI and Azure to complete, then only I would be starting with a new SQL. There also you would be added without any additional charge. You can attend both. You can try both. If it works, well and good. If not, if it is simultaneously is not working, it is up to you. You can attend the SQL once the other two courses, I mean the Power BI and Azure is done.
Ritesh, one more question. This SQL queries, right, which will be taught. So these will be the basic SQL or bit of complex as well?
Just a moment. I will. If you go to this, if you enroll for this course, here, course curriculum is kept. You can always come down and see what all would be covered in SQL also. Because first is SQL here. See, everything is there almost. Now the question comes into picture. Are we learning advanced to advanced SQL? No. Advanced SQL concepts contains your slowly changing dimension implementation. I would be covering slowly changing dimension, which is not a part of here. I'm not sure if you're aware about that. I would be covering aspects related to data modeling in SQL. Yes. But how do you implement it? I would be showing you in terms of query, which is not a part of Power BI. If slowly changing dimension implementation is important with respect to interviews, but how is it implemented? It is a part of data architecture. How locks and keys are keys, I would be covering how locks are implemented in SQL. It is not a part of Power BI developer. It is more of kind of data architect role. So almost whichever component is required to Power BI, almost everything is covered in SQL. Now, if I show you also the current SQL batch, which we have completed last week, you can see I have covered up till stored procedure. I've covered up till functions, which is almost more than enough. I'll share you maybe if you can get an idea. This is our, you can see, this is where we have covered stored procedures. We have covered everything. Let me see. Where is it? This one. See, even I'm trying to cover, let me make it big. I'm trying to cover the functions which are not a part of that course curriculum also. JSON value function, it is not a part. How to extract JSON data also I have covered. How to extract the certain specific elements, how a stored procedure is written, how functions are written, everything I've covered. So from a data analyst point of perspective, whatever I'm trying to cover in SQL, it is around 70% of SQL. 30% is data architectural role, which we can't cover. Can't in the sense because it is not required. So you can see every component is covered in detail, almost every component. And whichever is mentioned here, apart from this, I'm covering other topics as well, which is useful from current market trend.
Yeah, it's clear now. Maybe one last question from my side, Ritesh. Sorry to ask many questions.
No problem. No.
So can you just give me a flow, like first we are going to cover this and then what? Just the flow of the training, or
Okay.
maybe I can refer the same. It is same module in the same sequence, or
Yep. Same sequence.
Okay, fine.
If you can refer your Power BI, it would be in the same sequence.
Okay, yeah, cool. And this course will be of 4 months, right?
Yes. If you also want to learn SQL, yes, completely 4 months. Parallelly, you are learning SQL, then it would be 3 months only. Anyways, you can learn SQL simultaneously. If not, then 4 months.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
There is one more question from Raghu. Are we covering data modeling? If you want to learn Power BI, you have to learn data modeling. That means we would be covering data modeling here.
Maybe again, just small question, Ritesh, about the projects and the resume building that we have talked about in between. I'm not sure if I have missed. So, like, what kind of project we are going to get? It will be a like dummy kind of project, or will be the some kind of
good question.
Real time.
Good question. See, data would be dummy. Now the question comes into picture: why dummy data? Why not? Any companies will never show you real time data. If a certain individual is coming to you and he's saying that this is real-time data, that is not real-time data because company never shares their data outside. Yes, it looks like a real time, but it's a dummy data. So the same concept would be here. We have data sets which looks like real, but it's a dummy data. And let me make it clear. You go anywhere, including your real-time YouTube videos also, that is all dummy data because company will never share real-time data. Now the one more question from Raghu. We will cover one end-to-end process. There would be 3 projects end-to-end covered, not one. And I would be sharing few other data sets for your practice also, which you can utilize it for end-to-end. And to answer Ankush's other question as well, mock interviews or maybe any resume building sessions. Resume building sessions I would be taking care. There is a separate.
Just to add in the same resume building, so it will be like there is something called global resume, and some like we get a lot of formats on online, maybe specific.
I would be sharing 8 to 10 formats.
Okay, so basically, like, will there be something called global format? I'm not sure what is that, but I heard this word many times.
Global format is the standard format which every company follows. So the formats which I would be sharing, that are all global formats only because you can follow either of them. It is up to us which format is suitable for you, what amount of data is being collected that in one specific resume. So it's merely up to the individual who wants to make sure how his resume should look alike. So standard format, yes, the global standard format resumes will only be shared. There is a dedicated team allocated. If you share your resumes, if you share your experience, and if you want to enter a field with so-and-so experience, they'll always help you to make sure your resume is prepared in such a way that all that experiences are mentioned. Resume sharing, I would be covering. Agile management, I would be covering. The format, I mean, what kind of sessions, how interview tips, how can you approach interview, that I would be covering. Okay, now I'm referring to global format, which can be accepted in other countries. Yes, in Australia and Germany. You're not from India or maybe any other place from outside India?
No. I'm from India, but even actually I was just trying for out of India. So like I came across this word a lot, that global resume. There is some software they follow, ATS and all. So if we create a resume in a different format, that doesn't accept it. So that is not accepted. So we need to.
ATS is your resume tracker, where it will track few keywords. So the format which I would be sharing, yes, ATS would always track your resume and it will filter out. That I would be taking care. I'll definitely help you out how ATS will play a role, how your resumes are shortlisted.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So silence, I'm taking it as no. It's almost 2 hours from now. We started from 8. Thank you that you are part of this for almost 2 hours. You bared with me for 2 hours. Let's connect back tomorrow. We would be continuing with the Power BI use cases, advantages, disadvantages. And then if time persists, we would be downloading Power BI, seeing the basic UI of Power BI also. Starting tomorrow, yes. And by Friday, we would be covering 5 free sessions. At the end also, our team would be reaching out to you. Let's connect back tomorrow with the introduction of Power BI advantages and disadvantages. Thank you, everyone. Have a very good day.